Hello, 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 everybody. Happy Sunday. Welcome to this week's weekly sector overview after a pretty substantial sell off on Friday. So, where do we sit right now? By the way, if you are new here, please do consider subscribing, ring that bell, and hitting the like button. Longer term subscribers, leave us some comments and like the video. All right, let's just flip to our main watch list real quick. Uh, What's interesting is even with this big sell-off on the more conservative one, it did not tip to long-term sell just yet. So we're still going to be watching for that, although we do have the head and shoulder patterns as outlined on Friday's live stream in the afternoon. So if you want more information, tune into that one to see those head and shoulder patterns on the S&P. Got one on the NASDAQ. Also did not tip to long-term sell. Almost there. So we'll see what this next week brings, and the Dow not tipping there either, and all these have topping patterns regardless of the long-term system, and the Russell not yet tipping. So the the four major groups from stocks have not tipped back to long-term sell just yet, although we do have the head and shoulder patterns that have triggered, so we still have short to medium term sell signals on them. Going back to our sectors, XLE still in long-term buy mode, energy still in long-term buy mode, just closing right below the 62.5, but even with a pullback, we'll be watching for more energy plays to unfold. Never tip to sell mode. So going to be watching, especially, even though we closed right below that 62.5, I'm still going to be targeting this 86.35 and then the 89.83 on a pullback level. Your major support coming in right about 78.42. If we look at the weekly on here, we have the rotation zone crossing, and that's your major support. So that is also bullish. And on a daily basis, there's no great topping signal. So anything back to this 79.40 to about 78.42 is key support on any pullback. Real estate, not technically tipped to sell mode yet, but looking at this is a fairly weak sector. So if there's any outstanding real estate plays, we'll be looking for shorts. It does have a potential double bottom, and it did not tip to sell mode. So we'll keep an eye if that does trigger. Keep an eye on that to see if that does trigger, because that would definitely take us out of looking for any shorts, at least in the short term. For real estate, if it does continue lower, I'll be watching for that gap fill. That gap fill would pretty much negate the potential double, and then the major support area would be 41.83. But if we start filling this gap, I'll start looking for some shorts in real estate, even though we don't have the long-term sell. It was down 254 basis points. Not the weakest sector across the board. There are a lot weaker sectors, so this is not my most aggressive thing to look for shorts. XLF, the financial sector, down close to 300 basis points. No long-term sell just issued just yet, but a fair amount of weakness. So we're going to have to check at that daily. Pretty substantial reversal back below the 50 period and sitting at some key support. So if we start breaking below this 33.70 area, I am watching for some of the weaker financial shorts. And the next major support area on here, we have a significant level right down around 33. If we start getting close to 33, the aspects of looking for shorts would not be as aggressive down there. XLK, not tipped to long-term sell just yet. Down 427 basis points, so technology was one of the weaker sectors. So we'll keep looking for technology shorts, especially things rolling over and anything that has a topping pattern. Okay, what could be a topping pattern? For example, Apple has a head and shoulders, so this could definitely be a continued short play to the downside. So those are the kind of things we'll be looking at. That little mini double you see hit the first target, then gapped below and returned to the prior third target and then just tanked from there. It's closing in on some pretty decent support, 113, 139.25 area. But if that breaks, then it will get even more aggressive with some shorts in technology. Looking at this also, if we reverse our harmonics, next support area is 137.16 and major 133.50. If this does continue on down, it will issue the sell signal, and weekly cycles rolling over and daily cycles at the bottom. So if we do get a bounce, I'll just be looking for that bounce in order to look for some short patterns. XLI, not a long-term sell signal, down 300, close to 350 basis points, one of the weaker sectors. So that's another one we can look to with the industrials on the weekly cycles rolling down. Next, there isn't a lot of great support in here. We have some minor support coming in right around 94.75, but we break below that 94.75, I will start more aggressively looking for shorts. Why? It's a clear path move. A clear path move all the way potentially down to the breakout area on that clear path, about 91. So once we break this 50, that's really when we'll start focusing, looking for more aggressive shorts in the industrial sector. XLY, consumer discretionary, did not tip to long-term sell, but look at this. This did issue a head and shoulders top pattern. So we can go ahead and measure that out. We can go ahead and measure that out to get us some targets already triggered. That's the point it triggered from. So the targets are 156.34, 153.13, 149.32. And we have the gap fill down here. You do have some minor support right around that gap fill. So pay attention to the first target and that for a minor bounce. But consumer discretionary, definitely an area to watch for shorts in, especially the weaker consumer discretionary stocks. So that can easily come back to over the next little bit to the 200 period simple moving average. And this head and shoulder patterns takes us back to the key support zone right there. So that's definitely one that is, I would strongly suggest if you're looking for shorts, to look for shorts. XLP, still in long-term buy mode, not close to tipping over. So this is one that I would avoid looking for shorts in rather than looking for pullbacks on key buys. So more so in my focus, especially if we get back to this about 73.40 to about 73.65, looking for some key potential buy setups. Paying attention to see how weak it gets with the weekly rotation zone, but this only down close to 250 basis points. So this was actually one of the stronger sectors. This in real estate were a couple of sectors and the utilities that held up the best. So those are the things I don't want to focus shorts on. I'd rather look for potential some longs in there. Real estate, but XLP, consumer staples, and XLU, which we'll get to shortly, would be more looking for some good bull setup plays on this pullback. XLP, or sorry, XL, did I? Sorry, we just did XLP. XLV. XLV. Close to tipping to long-term sell. In the short term, we had this little double that triggered. So this should have taken hands off of any longs and started looking for shorts and nearly down to that full target. 126.94 down 279. So this is not the first thing, especially if it's this first target. Phil goes back, refills this gap that I'll be focusing on. This is a secondary aspect. I'll look for shorts, not a primary aspect. But if there's anything really weak in healthcare, it could be a play. Although coming into this major support area is not the most aggressive thing for shorts. And this is also one of the stronger signals. Once it tips over, if it does tip back over into sell mode, then it could get more aggressive into shorting area. But we're still in after breaking down out of here, a quick return. So we're overall in that big consolidation area. XLB down just over 300 basis points. This is still in long-term sell, never went to buy mode. So the materials sector is still very weak and can be looked at for shorts. And what's interesting here is we do have a potential double top. And since it's still in short mode, we're going to use the aggressive target 75.51, 74.45, 73.39. So especially on a close below 77.63 on a daily basis, once that does trigger, I will start looking more so for aggressive shorts in material select. I'll be sort of hesitant as long as this does not trigger, but once it does trigger, I'll really start scanning for shorts in that sector. XLC, another one that never tipped to buy mode and just coming back down. XLC, always good for shorts, especially after breaking out of this channel pattern and closing weak on its lows. Much will even get more aggressive on a move back below this minor swing right around 54.70. I'm expecting this to retest its lows, so great sector to look for shorts, and XLC would be steering clear of any longs. XLU, one that is still in long-term buy mode, one of the strongest sectors this week, only down 153 basis points, so this is more looking for plays. If we start breaking down below the daily rotation zone about 75.50, we'll watch for the bigger pullback closer to the rising 200. But these will just be, again, looking for bullish plays, would not be looking for aggressive shorts in XLU. XRT, retail, still in sell mode, never got to buy mode. Retail, looking for continued shorts there. There might be some things like with earnings being reported this week. I know we have things like Best Buy coming up this week. If that's really weak, this breaking down also, those are the kinds I'm looking for. Even if we got a slight gap up, and that would be looking for shorts in this. Things like Best Buy coming back to the weekly rotation zone. A pretty strong sell reversal right there, watching for a retest of the lows. So those are the kind of things, if you're looking for retail things, not specifically advocating just rushing out to short Best Buy, but those are the kind of things going weak, especially in things that have already reported and are weak. We had Dollar Tree down. We had Dollar General down. All right, so any bounce plays on those could be setting up for shorts also in the retail space. IYT, transportation, not yet flipping back to sell. But breaking below a key point, getting into an advanced clear path move down here. So you got some minor support. I'm watching right around about 233.50 to about 232. We break below 232. It gets more aggressive to look for shorts in transportation, especially to the prior breakout zone, which comes in roughly about 224.50. So this is definitely, even on bounces, an area that could be attractive for some short setting up and will probably tip back into sell mode. SMH is in sell mode. SMH is in sell mode and triggered a double top pattern right here. So semis are back to being short and long-term sells. So not looking for any buys in the semiconductor space, looking on rallies for short setups in here. The targets for the SMH, 217.22, 212.47, 207.73. And we still have a major long-term sell, not only from our long-term system, but still from this prior topping pattern, which I will not be surprised to see in the next few weeks this to hit 180. And that's over a few weeks, not this coming week. DBC still in buy and turning up. filling this gap. So still in bullish mode, looking for commodity plays. Just not blindly buying across the board commodities, but looking for strong commodity plays. DBA is in sell mode and finally getting a close. We do have a pretty decent clear path move up here to the breakout zone, about 2163. So I know corn could be running into some problems. So looking for some agriculture plays as a subset of commodities. That is one that, especially with this nice reversal move again. Last week we had a pausing week that did not tip it to sell mode, and now we've actually closed higher above this resistance. So I'm watching for agricultural plays. GDX, gold miners, I'm still watching for us to get a substantial key bottom in gold. Gold miners coming back down from this flagging pattern, putting in a double bottom. Not saying this has to happen this week, but if we did get a close in GDX above 27.58, would more aggressively, even though it's in long-term sell mode, would start looking for gold miner plays. Other than that, being very patient, especially with this key reversal back down. Now, there's a little minor play here, no pun intended, minor play in the gold miners. If we do get above the high of 26.22, we could be in for a double within a double. Then I will more aggressively looking for some good reversal short-term swing plays in the miners. And then if the bigger double triggers, some longer-term plays in the miners. But hands off until those patterns trigger. VTV. Not shifted back. This is value. Not shifted back. This is not a double. Sitting now against key support. This is not something I'm aggressively looking for shorts. If you're asking where I'd be more aggressively looking shorts, value or growth, it would be for growth. Yes, this can easily roll over because there aren't a lot of great value things out there right now. However, this is not my highest thing to short. Watching for a pullback, this is not a advanced clear path. Watching for some key support about 136.45. Now we start breaking down below 136.45. We'll a little more aggressively be looking for some value shorts. Growth though, growth on the verge of tipping to long-term sell again. This was more so bearish. No, this is not a valid head and shoulders, and this is too low because it's downward sloping necklines, and this can't even be traded as a flat neckline here. So this is just an ugly pattern right here. It almost can be traded this way, and I've been doing some more research on this. We'll just put on these targets. I don't have the definitive probabilities on this just yet, but we're going to just put this up for the sake of utilizing some downward targets on here. But I am still bearish. So the targets I'll be utilizing 242.05, 237.63, 233.23 to about 234 area. So that gives me some targets. And especially this first target near this prior little breakout zone. But growth, I'm more aggressive looking for shorts than value, definitely. That's where we sit on our sector overview. Hope this helps you with your sector roadmap coming up this week. Again, look for the shorts first most in the weakest sectors. And the strongest sectors that have held up most this week, those would be the ones I'd be looking for more so for bounce plays in any good setups for what stayed strong in the longs. And the weakest sectors, again, looking for the short plays. With that, I'll see everybody on this week's live streams. Talk to everyone later. Bye for now.